Flint, Michigan.
And Commissioner Shapani.
Hi there, Commissioner Scapani, attending remotely from Flint, Michigan.
Thanks, everyone.
Next on the agenda is the addition or changes to the agenda. Does anybody have any additions or changes to the agenda? Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
Make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Support?
Support.
I support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. All in favor of adopting the agenda?
Aye.
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 All opposed? And the agenda is adopted. Next on the agenda is minutes of previous meeting and disposal. I think we have 3 months worth of meetings. I believe we've got March and February and January. We could probably do these one at a time. How about if we do the oldest first and work forward? So why don't we look at January's?
I move to approve the minutes from January.
Is there support?
I support Commissioner Davis.
Okay, we have motion and support. All in favor of approving the minutes from January 7th?
Aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Minutes are accepted. Moving on to the February 4th, 2021 meeting minutes. If we could take a minute to review those. Okay, is there a motion?
I make a motion to adopt February minutes.
Their support?
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. February minutes are adopted. And moving on to the March 4th, 2021 minutes, if we could take a moment to review those. Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, and is there support?
Support.
Okay, so we have a motion and support for the March 4th meeting minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Hearing none, the March 4th minutes are adopted. And it looks like Commissioner Wright has joined us.
Sorry, I just got off the freeway. I couldn't hit the Zoom thing while I was on the freeway.
No problem. So if we could amend the roll call, and if you could state for the record that you're appearing remotely and where you're appearing from.
Sure. This is Commissioner Stephanie Wright, and I am appearing remotely in Flint, Michigan today.
Okay, great, thank you. Next item on the agenda is hearing from the public. This is the time where if anyone would like to speak about any issue not on the agenda, this would be the time to speak. Otherwise, if you're here to speak about one of the applicants on the agenda, we would wait until we're having that discussion for any public comment. So if there's any public comment. And hearing none, we will close that section of the meeting. Moving on to the next agenda item, certificates of appropriateness notices to proceed. The first applicant is the Durant Door Carriage Company Foundation. Is there anyone here to present on that project?
It doesn't look like it.
Heather, they were here last time.
Yeah.
It looks like a pretty straightforward application. I don't know if everybody's read it, but I think it's one we could probably vote on even without them. There's not much for them to present.
Correct. And we did, in full disclosure, Mr. Wickham did, the applicant called me to ask if it was something that should go before us because it's so small.
Right.
And it's on the back of the house, at the back of the building.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why I told him it probably should go before us is because they're on a corner and you can see that back door from the sidewalk along the side of the building.
Mm-hmm.
So because it's visible to the public, the building is situated on a corner like that. Yeah, just so it doesn't look like anybody's getting any special consideration. And just we can follow the rules and do this the right way.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
I believe Mr. Wickham is the chairperson or president of the Dort Durant Carriage Factory, who owns the building at 316 Water Street. So he has submitted this application asking to switch out the door from being, let's see what's there now, a standard doorknob to more of a lever. And that is not only for security, but for like handicap accessibility, just to make it easier for older folks or people that have challenges with their hands to get in and out of that door.
I would make a motion to approve.
Perfect. Is there support?
Support.
Okay. If we could have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Bernash,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Nicewonder,
Yes.
and Commissioner Scafani.
Yes.
All right. Motion carries. Normally I would make my announcement about signing the certificate of appropriateness, but if he's not here, I'll save my speech. Moving on, next item on the agenda, applicant Spence Rugesser. Address is 130 East 2nd Street, Flint. This is for approval of the signage at the Eberson, which is one of the tenants in the Capitol Theater building. And as I think everyone knows, the sign has been up for a couple of years now. Kind of put the cart before the horse, but it looks like it's a vinyl decal. I'm not sure if it's applied from the inside or the outside, but it doesn't seem to affect the structure of the building or the historic integrity whatsoever. It seems to comport and be of an appropriate shape, style, size, font. It's not blinking or glow in the dark or anything. It's not neon. Does anyone have any questions or discussion?
No questions, and I would move that we approve as presented.
All right, is there support?
Support.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, if we could have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Bernash,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
yes,
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Nicewander,
Yes.
and Commissioner Scapani.
Yes.
Hey, motion carries. And again, I'll save my speech because I don't believe Spence is here. Moving on, next item on the agenda, applicant Robert Sims, location 422 West First Avenue, 4503. Is anybody here to present on that project?
Yes, this is Robert Sims. I'm here.
Hey, I think you might know or have some experience with us to know if when you apply, we're usually in person and the presenter will kind of come to our table and stand up, and if there's any building materials or samples to show to us or pass around, or any photos to pass around or blueprints. But because we're doing this remotely, we've kind of been emailed your packet and all the architectural drawings and photographs. So we all have that in front of us. If there's anything you would like to say, just to kind of explain what you'd like to do, what your plans are, we would love to listen, and we'll probably jump in with some questions.
Okay, sure. Actually, my experience was by Zoom last year too.
Okay.
You guys approved 2 of my requests last year. One was for the roofing selection, and the roof has passed inspection. It's all done. The second one was for a small dormer, and I have requested the framing inspection on that. I don't think it has happened yet, but it's ready for inspection.
Okay.
This is for my project that I want to do this summer on this house that I bought from the land bank last year. And it is the reconstruction of a room that existed for the first 100 years, I guess, or more, and was demolished about 10 years ago when there was a crew working on the house. Restoration was started. They tore the room down and gutted the house, and then the project stopped. So there's been nothing happening on it until I came to it last year. The room is going to be built on the original foundation, which still exists. And I have the pitch of the roof because there's blocking still existing in the back wall of the house that shows me the pitch was about a 5.5, 12. So I'm going to try to copy that and try to make the outside of the room match the rest of the house, which will be wood clapboard, frieze boards, the same overhanging soffits. I'm just going to try to make it look like it's been there all the time. So if anyone has a question or need more information, the drawing is on its edge. But if you scroll down to my photo page, you'll see the drawing again on the right side in the middle, if you want to get a better look at it. I see Joe is tipping his head, and I think he's looking at the
The building looks like it has 2 windows up in the gable, but your drawing shows putting one back. Is that, I mean, it does look like one of those windows is kind of a weird, quirky, I don't know, they're side by side. So I assume you're just going to put the one that fits the elevation better.
Yes, actually, I haven't decided if it'll be 2. There'll be wood sash windows, divided lights, and I don't know if it'll be 2 or 3. I just kind of drew that in quickly just to give a feel for what it should look like.
Or I think you're talking on the original part of the house, though.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, no, on the original gable, yes, there were two. And I'm gonna put one, and it'll be a smaller one. So I can get a little more space between the new roof and the windowsill. It'll meet egress code. So I think it can't be more than 44 inches off the floor, something like that. So again, that position is, it's kind of in flux.
is that window in a bedroom then?
Yes,
So, well, then for egress, will also have to be, 5.7 square feet clear in addition to the 44 off the floor.
right. I have not figured that yet, so.
Right. Okay.
The lower window on the back of that building looks like it was added later.
Yeah.
Yes, because it cuts into the freeze board in the corner.
Yeah.
And so I may reconstruct the freeze board depending on my new window, where it ends up.
So the addition is not going to stick out from either side of the house. Will it be flush with the walls of the sides of the house now, or will it be wider or less wide?
That's a good question. I did draw in two bay windows cantilevered on east and west. And that was good of you to pick that up. The footprint of the room does not change because the foundation does not change. But I'm trying to pick up a little more space, 12 inches on both of the sides by, yes, building a bay window.
Okay, and those would be wood as well?
Yes,
And Bob, it looks like on the side of the house, where the door is, it looks like you're gonna build maybe like a little porch roof, or what's
yes,
happening there?
yes, there was a porch there. It's gone.
Okay,
And I'll be starting from the ground up. It does have the brick foundation for the porch, but the rest of it's gone. And yes, I drew it back in because I am planning to rebuild it as close to the original as I can.
so you've got some outlines on the building, or some
Yes.
ghost marks to work from?
Yes.
Okay.
And so
Actually,
the
the
siding
Mhm.
would be wood siding as well?
Yes,
And then the overhang of the roof would be about the same as the original
yes.
roof on the house?
Yep, as near as I can get it to the original. Well, let me point out one thing that I added, an embellishment here, if you will. On the drawing, you see a little gable within the gable, down at the edge over the egress door, the back door.
Mhm.
I put that in to reflect the theme of the house, which is on the front of the house. If you look at the top left photograph, you can see that there's a small gable just like that on the front of the house. The only difference is the pitch of the roof. And so I've decided to carry that theme around to the back and put a small gable there that will extend a little bit over the back door.
And the door, what will that be made of?
Solid wood, I hope oak. I want it to be a really solid door.
The gable within the gable, then how do you support? Is it going to just cantilever a little bit, or will it have a post? Because it just seems like it. I like the idea of matching, or kind of playing off of the front facade.
Mhm.
But how does that hang over that door? Or I mean, does it supported by columns or just cantilever? I guess is the question.
My plan is not to have columns. It's to have braces on an angle,
Okay.
steeper than a 45-degree angle. So probably twice as high as coming as extension.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and because I didn't do a side drawing, I can't show that here, but yes, that's a good question too. And I've contemplated extending the front gable too. I would come back and ask you guys about that. I'm not going to do it right now, but that would be with braces rather than columns. I have an idea to add a large front porch on this house someday, because every other house on this street has a large front porch. And that's the only one that doesn't have a front porch. And my wife loves sitting on the front porch. So, and we are planning to eventually move across the street to this house. So, but that's farther down the road.
So I see in your drawings, the new windows that you're showing, it looks like they have muntins and mullions, you know, to divide up the lights.
Yes.
But the windows that I'm seeing on the front of the house are like a 1/1 without the muntins and mullions. So at some point, were you going to have all the windows match the fenestration patterns, or would it look different, or?
Yes, again, good question. This house has a mix of windows. It has 3 windows which have a double light on the top, double light on the bottom. You can't see that in these photographs, but the west facing windows are I think the originals. They're the oldest, and I want to reflect that if I can. I'm actually working on setting up my own window building workshop, and it may not be this year, maybe this fall. I'm getting anxious to start building windows, and I'm trying to make windows that all at least are consistent with the original, which is a double light. They're pretty long, tall window panes. So yes, I'll do my best to make it all look consistent and old. I'm trying to make the house look more like it was when it was built in around 1890. And right now it's a mix of different kinds of windows.
Well, I really appreciate the material choices and the decision to make a new addition lesser than the original structure, as an addition should be, sort of subservient to the original structure. It should be shorter and smaller and setback, you know, so it's clearly distinctive and not part of the original structure, but not taking away from or competing with the original structure. I think my only concern is, how are those windows, the 2 bay windows sticking out, how are those going to look from the front of the house or the sidewalk if they do stick out beyond the width of the 2 sides of the house? You know, for somebody driving by or walking on the sidewalk, you're just going to see, what are you going to see? Are the bays going to have windows on all 3 sides, or is it going to be siding on the front and back with just a window on the side elevation? So it's like a box. Do you know what I mean? Rather than a 3-sided window? Like,
Right.
what will you see from the sidewalk?
It's not a 3-sided bay. It's only the top half, if you will. So there'll be siding on the main wall, the cantilevered wall, up about halfway. And then these will not be really large windows. And then both of the sides of the bays will be just wood siding.
Wood siding, okay. So it would look more like a historic bay and not one of those weird new bay window inserts where it's just like windows all the way around.
It's not going to look like one of those greenhouse windows that people add to their houses, that, you know, on a kitchen window and stuff.
Right.
Those are nice, but no, they wouldn't fit here.
And Heather, I think on one side of the house, you won't even see it because there's that porch.
The porch.
You know, it sticks out
a little.
You know, well, there's a door, you know, going in, and
Yeah, there's a step back on the
Yeah.
west facing wall. It's
That
about
side, I
4
don't
feet.
think you'll even see it.
Okay.
Yeah. I think even both sides, really. It's
Mhm.
kind of a cross-shaped house.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I would motion to approve.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion with support. Is there any further discussion?
No.
Okay, hearing none. Is there somebody that wanted to make a comment? Okay, hearing none. If we could have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Bernash,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
yes,
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Nicewander,
Yes.
Commissioner Shapani,
Yes.
Okay. And the motion is approved. I do, I had a discussion off the record with a former member, commissioner of the Historic District Commission, and it was suggested to me that maybe we should cite the Secretary of the Interior standards for these projects that we're approving. We always cite the standard, the enumerated paragraphs when we deny a project, but we don't usually do it when we approve because most of the time nobody's going to appeal an approval. But this is kind of a significant project, building an entire new room and addition. So I think we probably should maybe cite one of the standards since this is more important than maybe just a little doorknob. Looking at the standards, it looks like number 9 would be appropriate. It says any the design for alterations and additions to existing properties should not be discouraged when such alteration and addition do not destroy significant historical, architectural, or cultural material, and such design is compatible with the size, scale, color, material, and character of the property, neighborhood, or environment, which is sort of an ongoing theme, I think, with this project and trying to keep with the size and scale and appropriateness of the neighborhood. So I think number 9 is what we're going to cite as our reason for approval. And we can move on to the next application, Bedrock Apparel. Property owner is Friends of the Capitol Theater, 130 East 2nd Street, number 103. Is anybody here to present on that project?
There's no one here for that application.
I didn't think so. And that's just signage as well. And I think the pictures were sent to us later after the original packet was mailed out over a week ago. It's also just window decals, similar to Eberson, multicolored letters in a crescent-shaped semicircle. It just says better.
Yeah, I would move that we approve as presented.
Right, is there support?
Support.
And any discussion?
No.
All in favor? If we could have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Bernash,
Yes?
Commissioner Hurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
yes,
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Nicewander,
Yes.
Commissioner Shapani,
Yes.
Alrighty, motion is approved. And you guys don't get to hear my speech at all tonight. Signing the certificates, and I think Sims already left, didn't he? So we'll have to get that signed and get it to him. We can call him tomorrow. But he already knows our procedure. So the next item on the agenda is Kurt Nicewinder, Genesee County Land Bank, 104 Stanford Place. Is there anyone to present on that project?
Oh, this guy. Gee.
Yep. I got take that hat off and put on the applicant hat. Which one's first? Did you say 104?
Yes.
Commissioner Nicewinder, this is Kelly Thompson. If I could, just before you get started,
Sure.
just for record purposes, if you could state your affiliation with this application and ultimately your reason for abstaining. They're the same thing, but just make that brief statement before you get started, please.
Sure. So Kurt Nicewinder, architect, and I've got two applications on the agenda tonight. One for 103 Sanford Place in Carriage Town and 104 Sanford Place. So they're across the street from each other. And so I've been hired as an architect to develop the scope of work to rehabilitate these two properties. It's a combined effort by the Genesee County Land Bank and Uptown Reinvestment Corporation as my client. Because I'm a commissioner on the Historic District Commission, I will present my case or cases, and then I will recuse myself from voting on the two applications. Is that
perfect? Thank you so much.
All right. So I hope, so let's see, did we say 104? I mean,
Yeah, 104 first.
You want to do one by one, since they're very similar, but we might as well, there's a couple. Okay. Hold on a sec here. Let's look at the 104. That's right. Okay, so I got hired and tried. So what I did, I was asked to get onto the March agenda, or sorry, not March, April agenda. So I kind of put this together very quickly, but what is going on is there are some grant funds that are being administered by, I'm not exactly sure how the funding is all put together, but between Uptown and the Land Bank, they have funding to do complete renovation of these two structures. And so that would include, in a lot of cases, I guess, in the neighborhood, the projects do go kind of piecemeal, but in this case, they have the funding lined up to do complete rehab, and then they will be reselling the properties. So for home ownership, no rentals. So anyway, 104 is, they're a small little house. It's about 1,200 square feet total. And I've attached a lot of pictures of the existing conditions because there are some varying levels of decay around the structure. But a lot of the existing siding is in a salvageable condition. The existing windows, unfortunately, there's not all of the windows of the building. And then those that do exist, which are a couple on the front facade and a couple on the second story, the sashes are in a pretty bad state. These two houses were fairly neglected, and they were part of the previous land bank application as far as the separating houses that were rehabilitated or able to be rehabilitated versus the ones that were approved for demolition. And so these two made the cut as far as rehabilitation. So the goal is to salvage as much of the existing material as possible. We're not adding any square footage or taking away any square footage. The front porch definitely needs some rework as far as leveling and reconstruction because of the the wood that's on there is pretty rotted out. So the wood decking, framing below it, and the staircase would need to be reconstructed. We do have at least the brickwork kind of lattice in between the pillars. We have that detail in existing, so we're going to rebuild the sides of the porch where that brickwork has kind of fallen through, and you could see some existing a few bricks still in place. I did put on the application when moving to windows again that I asked for a clad window, but I think after another conversation with one of the contractors that's involved in the project, which is John Mason, a resident of the Carriagetown neighborhood and a rehabilitator himself, I do believe that I think it'd be better if we were going, well, the windows need replacing. We want to maintain the wood trim that is on the exterior of the house, but replace with I think new wood windows would be better and more appropriate than a clad window, and then most definitely than a vinyl window. So I apologize that I kind of hastily put on a clad window. So I think we should go with a wood would be more appropriate. We do have evidence on those existing windows that the upper sash is a sort of 3-panel divided light, and I think to maybe save some costs, that because we don't have them on every single window, is maybe we allow or I would ask for the opinion of the commission to replace the front facades with the divided light as they show with the 3 up top, and then just do no divided lights on the sides and the rear, but still keeping all wood windows. And then the other trim work, like as far as corner boards, frieze, fascia, we'll scrape and paint and try and repair those that, there are going to be a few on 104, especially on the rear of the house and the eave line. There's been a tree limb that's landing on the roof, and I think there was a fire actually inside the unit or inside the upstairs as well. So there's roof damage. So some reconstruction of the rafters and eave will need to be done. And, there's just a few, but some of that wood is just not, is not there anymore. So there's that. The same with the door. I didn't supply a cut sheet for a door, but I think there are no doors anymore on these houses. They're just covered in plywood right now. So I think we would select something that is a wood construction and kind of in keeping with the character that we know exists in the aesthetic of these 2 buildings. I'm trying to walk through it without jumping around too much. Now the porch columns. So based on we're kind of looking at these 2 houses in comparison because they're the exact same footprint and only with very minor aesthetic changes. The porch columns that are on 104 don't look original. Well, it's hard to say that. Yes, they don't look original. They are a little shorter than on 103, but 103, but these columns are stable. So I think we would just try and scrape and paint the columns on 104 Stanford, and then just provide some trim, 1x wood trim at the capital and the base to wrap the exposed blocking that you can see in the front elevation or the front photograph. They look close to what's on 103 as far as a comparison, but they're not exact, and I'm not exactly sure at what point they were, installed into the building. But I think, they're holding up, so I think that's the game plan for right now. Let me look at my application real quick. And, for as far as building code is concerned, we would need new gutters and downspouts. Since I don't know if we've looked at something like this before, but aluminum gutters that match like a white wood. So if we're painting the fascia white, a white gutter, I hope is appropriate in this case. A white aluminum. And then as far as the decking of the porch, I wrote down again another kind of move in getting this application in quickly. I wrote down a composite deck, but I believe there is existing wood, tongue and groove wood boards on the deck. Even though they're unsalvageable, I think we should replace the deck with wood board, replacement wood, like with like. So finding some tongue and groove wood deck boards in that case. And let's see. So I think that covers a lot of the components. If you have any questions, let me know.
I have a couple.
Sure.
First off, I noticed in one of the pictures, there's like a dumpster that's there already. Has work started on the property?
So there's a combination of effort. So DW Lurvy has been engaged to do so they've done some interior demo, and I know that they have also removed the windows, but they have salvaged the trim work. I tried to hold them off from taking them out until the meeting, but because we missed a week for the meeting, they did remove the windows, but they didn't toss them in the dumpster yet. So the wood trim work, at least that we can salvage, is in hand. But yeah, so a lot of interior clean out was done at this point. Nothing on the exterior, to my knowledge or direction, has been done aside from those windows. And then, so there's the combination of efforts is that DW Lurvy is going to handle structural repair work in the wood frame construction, the mechanical, so new furnace, new plumbing, new electrical, and then the new roofing. And then John Mason is going to handle the carpentry, so the wood trim repair, scraping, painting, and the reconstruction of the trim work. Yeah.
So Lurvy is doing basically inside the changes that are inside, which we have no say so over, but they've pulled all their permits, and that shouldn't affect what you're asking for today.
Right. The demo, yeah, they've only been like released to do demo at this point. There's no building permit. I haven't applied yet for building permit yet. So I got to prepare my drawings that then get that permit.
Okay. Yeah. And then the only other question I had in your description, I believe it said, I talked about rebuilding the porch with either new wood or composite.
Right.
Is that negotiable? Can we strike the word composite?
Oh, yeah. I think you might have been reading the application while I was saying, in my haste to get it into the commission, I want to take that part back. And because there is existing tongue and groove wood, it's not walkable, but we'll, I think, replace it with wood. And at this point, composite material and wood are about the same price. So why not use the wood? But anyway, I think we should, or I concede.
Perfect.
It's hard to wear two hats at the same time.
Hey, Kurt, so what's the roofing now? Is it just a normal asphalt shingle, or what's up there now?
Yeah, they are like a gray asphalt shingle. So I know in our past, all of our past meetings, we kind of been favorable to like those certainteed landmark profile. So the landmark style shingle, which seems to be a popular look for these homes. So I haven't picked a color yet. I have, because I've been in a little bit of a hurry, but I put on there, I think I put on the application for a landmark shingle, asphalt shingle to replace. Yeah.
And then is there no gutters now?
No, there's no gutters left. I think anything metal was salvaged
Mhm.
out of the buildings. So yeah, I'm proposing aluminum gutters and downspouts. I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what would look best. This is a collaborative effort.
Yeah. Well, since there's nothing there now, it's hard for us to say to hold you to a particular material or something. We don't. And what about the steps going up to the front porch? Maybe you already covered that, but I didn't. What's there now looks pretty.
Sure.
Looks pretty amateur.
Yeah, the 104 stairs are. Let me go to my picture. They're some kind of temporary thing. Let me look at the pictures of 103 because 103 has no stairs left. So if I didn't even have time to create a drawing of a new staircase, could that be something that we can postpone or postpone that for another review? Or do you want to? Definitely it's going to be a wood design for a staircase, but I haven't, we don't have any existing any stair to model off of.
And that was going to be my question too, because clearly that hand railing and those spindles are not original. And I don't even know if the clapboard sort of solid half wall around the porch is original.
Oh yeah.
I mean, maybe just looking at examples of Foursquares and seeing, the ones that have porches, what do they look like?
Mm-hmm.
Also,
and for sure the stairs.
The porch floor, is that going to be a clapboard or tongue and groove?
What's that?
The porch the porch floor, is that going to be tongue and groove or is that going to be clapboard?
Well, the one on 104, it looked like a tongue and groove board.
Yeah.
Like 1x4, I think, tongue and groove. So I mean, I think if that, I mean, that's what I would assume to put back.
Okay.
The 103 has a different wood railing. Maybe we can use that as an example on the porch. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to, doing a little more research, a little time, and preparing the railing and the staircase.
Yeah, I would say if you want to, come back with some, we can do the rest of the application, right? And then just amend it to, because the front stairs are kind of a big deal. So,
yeah.
I think we should at least
the
have
appearance of
an
the
idea.
porch. It does seem like we kind of might need a drawing beforehand, because that's all the aesthetics stuff, all the artistic sort of.
Yeah.
But I don't think, but that won't hold up the rest of it. I think we could move forward and just can be amended to.
Also, if you call it a Sloan Museum, they have the 1960 tax photos, which could also help. I mean, unless that porch was updated then, but before then.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, I totally agree. If the rest of the application can get through, so they can at least move on some, like we can order some windows, because the lead times on those are getting crazy. And I'd love to
So I guess
put the porch drawing together.
that's my only other question. I guess I'd like to know what other commissioners think, but so some of the windows, Kirk, I know that's what you mean by the 3/1. Some of them actually are 4/1, at least from the glimpses I can gather. And I'd be real interested in what those ones on the 3rd floor dormer, what those look like. It feels like that window design is kind of an important detail to me, you know, for the look of the house. And I'm not sure just putting them on the front is adequate. I don't know how big of a deal it is budget wise, but
Right.
what are other people's thoughts? I mean, I feel like the front and the sides at least should have, if we're going to allow for replacement windows and you're able to kind of duplicate them within reason, that, you know, that's not unfair to ask for that.
You're right. Yeah,
Anybody else have any opinion on the windows?
I would agree. So if you're changing already, it looks like from the explanation that was on the original application, then I would support what you just said, Mike, as well.
Commissioner Davis agrees also.
I would agree.
Okay. So right now we're talking about just 104. I think it's probably better if we do the 2 votes separate, even though there probably won't be much discussion on the next one. So as far as 104 goes, with respect to the application, whoever's going to present the motion, basically we're just striking the words "or composite" when we're talking about the porch decking. And then we're just clarifying where it says replacing all windows and doors, Pella series, we're just adding with wood. So it'll be wood frames, wood doors, wood windows, and wood porch decking. So those are really the only changes. Unless, is there anything else?
Does the porch just have to be removed completely, since we just asked him to come back to represent the porch? So then the approval today would only be for the windows today, and any other improvements, with the caveat that the porch renovations will come back and be represented.
Right, we can do windows, doors, siding, roofing, gutters.
As far as my concern on the porch was really just the steps, the stairs and the railing going up. So I guess what I envisioned was we could deal with the whole application with the exception of the front steps. But maybe if other people feel differently, I'm open to that.
I would think that because he's not asking for demolition, so if he decides, hey, these brick pillars aren't going to work, or they need to be rebuilt, or hey, you know, we got to rip out the whole porch and rebuild it, that's not in this application to completely demo it and rebuild it. So if that needs to happen, then I would think he would need to come back before us. But we've talked about the porch floor, so that seems okay. And we've talked about the siding, so it looks like the siding on the porch, if they decide to stay with that, that could be scraped and repainted. But basically they would have to come back before us for the railing and the steps. And if they decided to change the appearance or do any demo or rebuild the porch.
I just want to make sure I understand. So basically we're the porch flooring will not be composite. It says composite on the application, but it actually will not be composite. I just want to make sure. Okay. And then we're still going with the wood windows to match the current exterior and aesthetic of the neighborhood, correct?
Yes. So just whoever makes the motion, just instead of saying as presented,
Sure.
we'll just have to talk about those changes and details.
Okay, I'm gonna make the motion because I think I got it all in my head right now.
Okay.
So I'm gonna make a motion to approve 104 Stanford Place with the following exceptions: approval of wood windows, revisions or improvements to the roof exterior door, and utilizing wood materials to replace and or repair porch flooring.
Okay. Is there support?
I support.
Okay, any further discussion?
This is
No.
Kelly Thompson. I just wanted to make sure that staff got that motion. I don't know if Bill or Jonathan is taking note of it, but just making sure.
Yeah, we have note of it.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks, Madam Chair.
So most of it is as presented, just with the exception of wood on the porch flooring, wood windows, wood doors. And then at any later time to rebuild the railing or the steps, or if you wanted to do anything different to the porch, come back before us. Okay, so we have a motion and support. Is there any further discussion?
Just a side note, we lost Commissioner Wright. So
Oh.
if we wanted to make sure before going on to the next case.
We can't vote without her. She's our quorum.
No,
Hopefully she calls right back.
but that's the only
I
thing
think she was having some technical issues before, Madam Chair. She dropped at one point during the meeting already and came right back. So I think if we just give it a couple of minutes, she'll rejoin us.
Sure. She realizes she's been dropped. Sometimes it takes a minute or two to even realize you're not in a meeting anymore.
I guess I talked too long, huh? I talked right through the the technical.
Took up all the bandwidth.
Hopefully, yeah, right.
You were losing me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm going to see if I can call in Commissioner Wright. Maybe that
Okay.
might make it.
Thank you.
So, Joe, you said at the Sloan, how would you think I?
The Buick Gallery. I'm sorry. Called the Buick Gallery, and they have all of those archived. And I've gotten some of them in the past from there. So the 1960s tax documents. I think you need the lot number, or the property number to get it.
Parcel number.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, will do.
I've gotten a couple of them from there.
Yeah, I've got one. I've got one for my house. I've got one for my house. The city assessor standing up front with a little sign with the address, you know. Yeah.
Did they go?
It's funny because the house I live in now, the tax document one didn't have the siding that was on it before, the aluminum siding. But we found out it was in the Kettering yearbooks in the 20s and 30s. And so we were able to see more of it back then.
Did they do the whole city or just historic?
I think it's the whole city.
Oh wow!
I think so.
Ah, cool.
So I'm getting the voicemail. I wonder if maybe her phone, maybe the battery died. Maybe we can give it a few more minutes.
Yeah.
Wait.
Is there anything else on the agenda we can address without her?
That's pretty much the only one left.
Yeah, we can't vote on these two, but we can quickly run through old business and new business.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Okay. So let's suspend our discussion of the applicant for 104 Stanford Place and move on to G, old business. Updating historical documents. Now you guys are eventually going to get to it.
Yes, this is Attorney Kelly Thompson. A brief announcement, sort of a bittersweet announcement. I'm actually going to be leaving the city for a new job as of April 26th. That will be my last official day at the city. And I'm working with some of my colleagues who will be taking over my various roles, including being the staff attorney for the Historic District Commission. So this is absolutely something that will be on my list to hand over to my successor. And I know that planning staff will work with them to accomplish updating those historical documents, updating the ordinance, the resource list, and all of that. So that will be, if I don't get to it before April 26th, then that will be left for my successor.
Well, congratulations. We're sorry to see you go. Where are you heading to?
Thank you. I'm actually headed to private practice with attorney Paul Scott.
Oh.
So I'll be doing a lot of family law work and some criminal defense. So I'll still be in the area, but in a different capacity.
Okay.
Also, Commissioner Wright actually got back in.
Okay.
Yeah, my phone keeps overheating. I'm sorry.
You're okay. Well, we suspended our discussion of those two and just jumped to old business so that we could keep talking about things. So we're halfway through old business. So let's just finish that up and then we'll go back.
Okay, sure.
So we discussed updating historical documents, and next thing is Michigan Historic Preservation Network training. So we had the training last time. Everybody find it helpful, useful?
Yeah, it was good.
I did. I enjoyed the training actually.
And they have actually more money for us to do another training because we didn't do like an all-day thing. We just did a couple hours and it wasn't in person, so they didn't have to provide us food and things like that. So they have more money where we could do another sort of shorter, 1 or 2 hour training, maybe in a couple months. If we want to, we can get into some more detail, rather than just sort of an overview. So
Yeah,
They can
for
grab
them
them
and
that sounds good.
I'll be talking to them and hopefully we can pick a date in the future. If it seemed to work well being on a meeting date, if we don't have any applicants that night, it's even better.
Good.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't
Heather,
work,
I wonder if they have like sort of a menu of topics that they are prepared to cover, or is it up to us to just come up with some things that we'd like more info on?
I spent a couple hours on the phone with them kind of talking about what are the issues in Flint so they could kind of figure out what do we need.
Yeah.
And mostly what I relayed to them was our biggest struggles are demolition by neglect, infill, new construction, and how is that appropriate with historic districts, and enforcement. That for years and years, our word hasn't meant very much. We can decide whatever we want and people still do whatever they want. So just trying to struggle with those issues of, that's what I thought were the biggest issues. I don't know if you guys have any other input.
I guess the only one that it seems like it comes up all the time, and I don't know that how good we are at dealing with it, is, so often that the value of the property is so out of line with the restoration costs, that it becomes difficult, right, to insist
right way.
that somebody replaces that slate roof, for example, and the slate roof costs more than the house is worth, that kind of, that sort of thing. I mean, how do you, and that's more often than not, that's the case in Flint, because the property values just aren't there.
Right.
Whereas a community where the property values were high, right, then I think you feel like you have more leverage to get those replacement work done, authentically.
Right. Okay. So struggling with those issues, just being more of an economically challenged community, that we're in. How do we deal with the issues that aren't so prevalent in other communities?
Exactly.
Because before we know it, I mean, if we, grant everybody demo permits or allow everybody to put on aluminum siding because it's cheaper, at some point we don't have historic districts anymore.
Right. It defeats the purpose, but there's also the pragmatic side of it of what's reasonable,
Right.
So
right. Finding that balance for sure. Okay, so I'll let her know that as well, and then hopefully we can talk about some new dates later on this year. Okay, so that concludes old business unless there's anything else.
No.
Is there any new business?
The only one I had in mind was, we had Bill Gainey contacting us at the last second, something about the roof.
I did talk to him.
He said he was going to go to you and try to get an approval from you.
He said his roof was leaking, and he called me and said, "Can I get on?" And I'm like, "Well, the meeting's in a couple days. I think it's too late to be added to our agenda." But I said, for emergencies, you don't have to be on the agenda. The chair, I mean, my understanding is, I have to go back and look at our rules, but my understanding is the chair can approve an emergency. If there's a leak or, lightning strikes a house or it burns down and you need to fix something, you can just come to, contact Bill as if you were going to fill out an application and try to get on the agenda. Tell him it's an emergency. He can just call me and shoot me a couple pictures and I can say yes or no without us having to have a whole meeting or him having to wait a whole month to be on the agenda. So I did tell him that, but I haven't got a call from him.
Okay. And would that be, when those cases come up like that, where you're asked as an individual to make a decision, I guess it doesn't happen very often.
Right.
But I guess, is there a mechanism where you would report out on that?
I think
as the chair. I mean, would just to get it on the records?
Right. My recollection is that Chair Sumala did that a couple times, and he would just report about it at the next meeting.
Yeah,
think,
and it was
I
always
this
pretty
project.
minor stuff. Yeah,
right.
It was never very controversial.
No way is a whole rehab project an emergency.
Exactly.
It's going to be a leaking roof is what it's going to be most of the time. Or, my window broke and the elements are coming. It's February, I got to get a new window. So yeah, it should be isolated and it should be a true emergency situation where they can't wait a month.
Right. So. Okay. Yeah, and I think as long as it's then reported out, so it's in the meeting minutes and everybody's aware
that it happened. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just wait for him or Mr. Vandercook to call me when he does call and fill out his application. So is there any other new business? Okay, hearing none, we will move back to applicant Kurt Nicefunder at 104 Stanford Place, Flint. And I believe we had a motion, and do we have support?
Yes, I think yes for me, so. For roll call. Since I missed the roll call.
Yeah, we didn't get to it.
Yep. So if we have a motion with support and we understand what the motion is, basically adopting it as presented with the exception of striking the word composite, and that the porch flooring will be wood, the windows will be wood, the doors will be wood. And if there are going to be any alterations or changes to the porch or to build the porch steps or rails, they would have to come back before us. But otherwise, everything else as presented, the roof, the gutters and downspouts, everything else, the siding, everything as presented. Okay, if we have a motion and support, if we could have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Bernash,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Nicewander,
Abstain.
Commissioner Shapani.
Yes.
All right. Motion carries. Project is approved. And moving on to the next applicant, Kurt Nicefunder, 103 Sanford Place.
All right. So just across the street from 104 on Sanford is a property of the same footprint, size. It's a very almost identical, well, I would say pretty much identical design. It's the same 1,200 square foot, 4 square with a porch. Has a lot of the same physical ailments that 104 has. There are, let's see if I could point out any differences. The porch columns here look to be a little bit more historic, or I guess accurate to what was there in the original condition. And there is a wood porch railing on this one, so it might be, if it's for the case of the railing of 104, it might be a good starting point. But I will look into the Buick Gallery's records for that as well. So we're doing the same level of rehabilitation, so a full exterior and interior rehabilitation for resale. And same design team, same construction team, which is a combination of D.W. Lurvy office and John Mason for carpentry. So in this case, again, Lurvy will do structure, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, interior framing and finishes, and John Mason will handle exterior wood carpentry, trim work, cleaning and scraping of the woodwork, and the any finish work on the exterior. And let's see, there is a little bit of structural damage on the north or the southeast corner on the rear of the house, which I did take a picture of that. So there's some bricks that are falling apart. So that's one of the tasks for Lurvy's team. And in any case where there are any overly compromised rotted wood boards, then they'll be replaced with like wood boards for the sort of clapboard siding, corner boards, frieze, fascia, soffit, and then that southeast corner has probably the most decay because of foundation kind of came apart a little bit, and then some water damage that is noticeable on the wood siding and corner boards. And so the same, I guess, recommendations or conditions would apply. I rescind the wording for composite deck on the front porch, as well as any clad window conditions, and ask for wood windows. So in the same case as 104, this project has had its windows removed but salvaged, and the wood trim work salvaged, but in the same condition as far as the other building is. The wood windows that do exist are not operable any longer. And I think that might cover. Is that a good recap? I'm trying. It's very similar to the previous. Oh no, did we lose? Oh,
She gone again?
I talked too much again.
Oh, geez.
There we go.
There she is. Stephanie?
Back.
So how do you feel about the columns that are on the porch? Are you gonna fix those or rebuild them, or?
I think for this building in 103, so the columns, if you could, have a close-up of the porch. If you compared them to the one on the building, the house across the street, 104, these seem to be, I don't know, they're a wood column. I think they're still structurally sound. The base round sort of trim work might need a little repair or replacement, but they're taller, right? So they go from the block of the brick post below all the way to the beam of the porch above. So in my mind, they kind of seem like they're more original than the ones on 104. So, but I think they're still structurally sound.
Okay.
The brickwork of the porch will need some rework though. And I intend to match, because you could see, even though there is this wood lattice wrapping the porch, there are bricks behind that, and I believe the detail is the same as on 104, so we'd be rebuilding it to match.
So replacing brick and tuck pointing as needed?
Yeah.
And then are those columns, the brick bottom half, those columns, were those painted? It looks like I can see some brick, but then I see some paint.
Oh yeah, it looks like all in both cases, the brick was painted over.
So what would be your intention then?
Well, I think our first reaction was to repaint. I think it's partly due to if we can salvage the structure of the brickwork, at least of the columns, we're gonna have to repair the space in between the columns. But I don't know if the glaze on the brick is there to maintain without paint.
That was my concern too. I think removing the paint might damage the brick,
right,
even more. And if the patch jobs that are necessary don't match perfectly, a good solution to hide that would be just keeping with the paint. If there's paint on it, just keep paint on it.
Yeah. Right.
Hey, Kurt, a couple of questions. One is, was there any, and maybe you don't know, but is there any evidence that there was a third column? The house across the street's got 3 columns that line up with each of those brick piers. And I guess if there's evidence there was a column there, it'd be nice to put one back.
Oh yeah, you're right.
If it looks like there never was one, then that's what you got.
Yeah, you're right. I do think based on the architectural style and the span of the porch, the roof of the porch above, I think we would put a third column because it would match with the character of both of them. And
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell from the photos, but I imagine in person you could see some sort of witness marks if there was
Right.
something that one was missing.
Yeah,
And then-
I'll go back and check out where the connection points would be. I would definitely take that there was a column there.
Me too. Yeah. And then secondly, I'm assuming the same conversation we had on the windows for across the street, does that all apply to this as well? Because it looks like it probably had, it look like, well, I guess I can't really tell. Did it have the same sort of 3 and 4 over 1 design?
Yeah, this one had, at least from the upper level, you can see the 3 over, the
Okay.
3 up top. This one had, at least as far as when I got hired, a lot less windows
Gotcha.
remaining. But what is behind, I do have some pictures that I didn't share, but behind some of the boarded windows on the first floor, but behind the plywood, there were some windows. So I think with my interior pictures and the evidence on 104, we should do the same detail because the facades are all the same. It's kind of like a mirror image, or almost not even a mirror image. It's the same floor plan.
Okay, so it sounds like you probably just duplicate the same window design on both houses. And that's to try to get back to that, the original design as best you can.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. No, that's all I had.
Yeah, that was my, the column, if you're looking at the front of the house, the column on the right looks like it's kind of leaned, kind of at an angle. I don't know if that's just the camera angle or if the column is actually sort of slanted in towards the middle of the house. So that's why I was wondering if they were stable or needed to be restabilized.
Yeah, well, the brick is kind of falling out.
Okay.
Which is
So
kicking
if
out, I think it's kicking out the column for sure.
the base has shifted out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Kurt, sorry, I know I said I was done, but same thing with the steps and railing for the front. Whatever you draw up for the house across the street, do you think you would just carry that into this house as well?
Yeah, I think so. Again, sort of doing some research and evidence from Buick Gallery and
right.
What we decide. I think because they're so identical, I think it would make them a nice pair.
Yeah.
If they were, restored at the same scale or to the same caliber.
I agree.
And detail.
Okay, so making the appropriate corrections as far as striking the word composite and the words aluminum clad to make it so that it's wood windows, wood doors, and wood porch decking. With those considerations in mind, is there anyone that would like to make?
Well, and then front steps and railing are to TBD.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same as the last one.
Yeah.
If there's anyone that would like to make a motion with all of those corrections?
Do we have, Stephanie's there, yeah. Sure, so I'll make the motion. So I move that we approve the application as submitted with the changes or the amendments that Commissioner Bernash has spelled out, which were the changing to wood windows, striking out the word aluminum clad, striking out the word composite in regards to the porch decking. The front porch and steps are to be determined and will come back in a separate application. And did I miss anything?
I think that includes everything. Is there support?
I support.
Okay, is there any other discussion?
No.
Okay, hearing none, if we could have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Bernash,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Nicewander,
Abstain.
Commissioner Shapani,
Approve.
Did we get an answer from you, Commissioner Scapani? Did you say yes? Okay. Okay, so it looks like motion is approved. Project is approved with the discussed amendments. And I believe because these two addresses are so similar, 104 and 103 Stanford Place, I wanted to wait to cite the standards, Secretary of the Interior standards. I believe number 6 is most appropriate. If anybody objects, wants to add a different one or say, no, this one isn't most appropriate, just chime in and let me know. But I think it is deteriorated architectural features should be repaired rather than replaced whenever possible, which I think is what's happening here with anything that can be repaired is going to be repaired. But in the event replacement is necessary, the new material should match the material being replaced in composition, design, color, texture, and other qualities. Repairs and replacement of missing architectural features should be based on accurate depictions and features substantiated by historic, physical, or pictorial evidence rather than on conjectural designs or availability of different architectural elements. So I think that one, and then perhaps 7 as well, talks about cleaning surfaces using the gentlest means possible. So as far as painting that brick rather than trying to sandblast it or power wash it or something. Sandblasting and other cleaning methods will damage historic buildings and should not be undertaken. So I think 6 and 7 are probably most appropriate for what's happening in these two projects. Okay. So I'll talk to Bill tomorrow and get those applications, the certificates all signed, and we can get them out to the applicants. So we've already discussed old business and new business, so there's only one thing left on the agenda, the adjournment. Would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting today.
Support?
Support.
Support.
All in favor? Signify by saying aye.
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 Commissioner Benes,
Yes.
before everybody leaves.
Sure.
Yeah, I wanted to recognize John McKean. He's the new planner
Oh, that's
one here.
great. It's not on my agenda
Yeah.
and I totally forgot.
Sorry. I think we have all the commissioners here still. They could just take
Yes.
a minute. He'd just like to, I'd like to introduce him, John McKean, the new planner one. He's been a big help so far this time he's been here. So if you wouldn't mind just letting him.
Yes, please.
Nice to meet everyone. My name's John Mateen. I started on March 8th, so I'll be planner one. You can expect to see emails from me for minutes, agendas, and any applications. I think I called everybody today except Commissioner Nicewander. I see you responded to the email. So nice to meet you all and happy to be here.
And thanks
Thank
for
you. Nice to meet you
contacting us
too.
today too. Nice meeting you. I do appreciate the follow-up today.
Oh, yeah, anytime.
Perfect. All right. Well, if that's it, I'll see you guys next month.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.